In this video, I'm going to look at creating reports using the Phoenix Circus database. Let's have a look at the first report. We need to create a report to show all trainees in alphabetical last name order and the modules they've studied. It's a good idea before creating the report to organise your data, and we do that by creating a query, and then we base the report on that query. So let's create a quick query for this first report. We need the names, that will be in TBL trainee, and we need the modules they've studied. So we need TBL module for the module name. You'll notice there's no relationship line between the tables because we need TBL trainee module as well. Always check that you've got those relationship lines connecting your tables together, otherwise your queries won't work. We need the first name, we need the last name, and we're going to sort them on that last name. We need the modules, the module name. Let's just have a look at that. First name, last name, they're all in alphabetical order, and the module name. Let's save the query. Close the query down, and we can now start creating the report. So we're going to create Report Wizard. Find the query that you've just created, and we want all those fields in the report. I think we'll organise this by module, so I'm just going to change how we view the data. So that means we'll view the module name and then list the students that have taken that module. No further grouping, no sorting. We can leave these defaults portrait and stacked, and then always give your report a name. Begin with RPT for report, and then finish. And you can see here we've got a very basic report which we're now going to edit, right, to make it easier to read, clearer for the user and more visually appealing. And the first thing I'm going to do is just make some formatting changes. I'm going to change the title in the report header. I'm going to change the report header background. I'm going to make these column headings clearer by putting spaces in between the words, because at the moment they're just field names. And I'm also going to take off the banded rows, and I use a little bit of colour as well, formatting some of the fonts. Let's go into design. Let's change the background of this report header. Just before we go on, let's just look at these sections in the report. We've got a report header here, and that is the header for the whole of the report. So if it was a multi-page report, it would just appear on the first page. And we've got the page header, so that will appear on every page. So again, if this was a multi-paged report, it would appear on the top of the page. We've then got a module header, and that's the header for each of the different modules that are going into the report. And then the details section is where we're going to list the records from our query. The page footer appears at the end of each page, and then we've got a thing called a report footer. Let's expand that, and that appears just at the end of the report. So if it was a multi-page report, it would just appear on the last page. So let's just change this background to the report header. Right mouse click, fill back colour and white. I'm going to change the heading. And if you want to centre this across the width of your report, just widen the control, go on to format and choose centre. And then these headings, let's just have a look. I'm just going to put the spaces in between the words. And the other thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to move the first name and last name along a little bit, just to balance it out across the width of the report. Clicking them together so that they move together. And then the next thing I'm going to do is change the font colour. So I'm just going to select what I want changing. And in fact, I think we'll just select everything. Whoops. And go on to the font colour. And again, I'm just selecting from this palette here. And then the other thing I wanted to do was take off those banded rows. If you click in a section of the report and go into Format, you can see this alternate row colour. Greyed out on report header because there's no banded row. Page header is greyed out. Module header, so if we click on it and select white, again, detail section, white. I don't think there is in the page footer, no. And probably not in the report. No. Okay, let's just save that and have a look at what we've got. Just to finish this report, I'm just going to put a line on just to break things up a little bit. So if we just go back to design, and after the module header, maybe one before as well, just move those down to give myself a little bit more room. We've gone to the controls, pick up the line, draw a line on. And while I'm here, I'm just going on to Format, pick a colour. And also on the Format, I am going to just pull this in a bit so you can see this. Now once I've done that, I can copy it and paste. It's always copy and paste where you can. Okay, let's have a look at that again. So we've got the banded lines across the different changes of module name, and then the names of the students listed underneath. Save the report, and that's the first simple report done. Just good one to understand the different sections of the report. The second report I'm going to look at involves creating a total at the end of the report. We need to create a report to list all trainees, alphabetical last name order, who have a result of unclassified in any module. List the trainee, first and last name, the module name, and the date the module was completed, but we don't want the result showing obviously. A total of all the trainees should be provided at the end of the report. So again, let's do the query first. Good at practice doing your queries, this. So we need the trainee name, which is in TBL trainee. We need the module name. We need the date that it was completed, and that's in trainee module. And we also need the result, and that's in trainee module again. Just quick check, yeah, all the relationship lines are there. So, first name, last name, sort. We need the date it was completed, and we need the result in because we're going to find all those that were unclassified. Just have a look at our query. We've only got one person as it's turned out. Save the query. and OK. Close the query down. I'm just going back to design view and add the module name. Save the query. Close the query, and now we're ready to start our report. So we need the first name, the last name, the completion date and the module name. We'll view this by trainee. Don't need any further grouping, don't need any sorting. Here we have our report, very basic report. I'm going to make some changes to it now to look it more visually appealing. We'll change the heading. We'll change the report background colour. We'll change the column headings so they look like column headings rather than field names. Changing the background of the report header. Change the heading. Just going to move the data for the first name and the last name into the details section. Let's just have a look at what we've got from there. Okay, so we just need these column headings and the data lining up better. And we need to spread out the data across the width of the report. We'll also make some changes in terms of colour on the fonts as well. So I'm going to select the controls that I want to change the colour. And I'm going to just change these column headings so they look more like column headings rather than field names. And you'll notice there, oh, it's just on completion date. I thought it might be truncated, but it's just on. Let's put in some lines just to break up the report and make it easier to read. And now I'll put in the total at the end. So I'm going to put this in the report footer because I want it at the end of the report. And I'm going to do this using a control, text box. If I click in the count and then go to the property sheet, go to data and the control source, and if I click on the ellipsis, do equals count, open bracket, and then asterisk, that will count all the records in the report. And you can see now that that calculation has appeared in the control. Just one thing I need to do is change the font colour. And I'll make this total trainees bold as well. Okay, let's have a look at what we've got. Title, nicely centred. First name, last name, completion date, module name, and then the total number of trainees. There's only one, because clearly there's only one in the report. I'm just going to take off, before I finish, just going to take off this border around this total here at the bottom. I'm not keen on how that looks. That's actually on shape outline. And if I select white, that should be fine now. Let's have a look. That's better. Make sure you save your report. And I would actually rename that. I'm just going to close that down and rename it with RPT. That's better. That's the second report completed now. I'll have a look at the third report, which is a little bit more complicated again. In this final report, it involves a little bit more formatting and moving of controls and things around in the report. It also looks at putting a total in a header and a total at the end of the report. Let's have a look at what we've got to do. Create a report to count the number of trainees taking each module within each level. Show the level, the module name and the count of trainees for each level, and a final trainee total at the end of the report. So let's do the query first of all. We need the level, we need the module name, and we need the number of trainees, so that will come from trainee module. And I'm going to put in the trainee as well. I've got all four tables there. You'll see why in a minute. So we want the level table here. We need the module name. And I'm going to put in the last name. And I'm going to do a count on those last names. So let's put in the total row. And for the last name, do a count. Now that should group this on level, so we should get all the level ones together initially, followed by the modules, and then level 2 and the modules. And because we've done a count, it will count as the number of people that have done each module. When we get this into the report, we can group it on level and do a count on the level. Let's just have a look at what we've got so far. So we've got at level 1, 2 modules. At level 2, we've got 3 modules, and at level 3, 2 modules. And there's a count of the number of trainees that have taken those modules. Let's save the query. And let's close that down. And now let's start doing the report. Select the query. Put in all the fields. Now we want this grouping on level, so we can leave that as it is. We don't want any sorting, and we can leave our report with these defaults selected. Don't forget to change your title to something like RPT level count report and finish. Okay, so I've got, again, a very basic report. What we're going to do is format this to make it easier to read and to provide all the information that we're being asked for, because at the moment we haven't got all the data or information that's been requested. The first thing looking at this report we haven't got a level header. So I'm just going to add that. So if we come down to add group and add level, and you can see now it's put us a level header in. So I'm going to take out of this page header and put these column titles into the level header. I'm just going to space out these fields that we've got here already, just to give me a bit more room across the width of the report. Now this title here, I'm going to change from count of last name to number of trainees. Let's bring the module name over as well. Make sure they're lined up. And that's giving me a little bit more room here, because what I'm going to do in this header is put a total in. But I'm just going to take this control here that's going to have the data in out of the detail and put it in with the header. And I'm going to narrow down this control as well, because it only has a small number in it, like 1, 2, 3. It doesn't need to be all that wide. I've made space here to put in a total for the level of the number of trainees. So let's just put in the total first. If we come down to the bottom here, where it says group on level and more, at the moment we've got no totals. If we select that, so we're doing count on last name, I want to add them up, and I want to show the subtotal in the group header. And you can see, let's just pull this down again, that it's putting this sum of count of last name. Let's just pull this back along. Line it up with the others. I'll narrow it down because again it's only going to be a small number, it doesn't need to be that wide. And now I'm going to put on a label which tells me what that total is. So we've got to controls, label. And in here if I put total trainees, okay, let's have a look at what we've got. So we've got our header, level 1, total trainees 3. That could come across a bit back towards total trainees. Then we've got the module names and we've got the number of trainees. So if we just look at this level 1, we've got 1, 3 trainees, that's 3. If we look at level 2, we've got 2, 3, 5 trainees, that's correct. While I'm here, I'll just talk about formatting this. Obviously I'm going to change this report header background, make the title better, take off these banded rows, change the column headings from field names to actual column headings, and probably put some lines on as well. And also change the colour of the font to match my sort of house style. Just change these column headings. Okay, and then before I do any more, let's tick off the banded rows while we're here. None there, Here we go. No colour. No colour. And let's just put on this total at the bottom of the report. And what we can do here is literally just copy what we've got here in the header. But if we place that at the end of the report, it will work it out for the whole report. Okay, let's have a look at what we've got again before we go any further. Right, okay, that's better. We've got a heading, we've got some nice headings. I need to pull that number back towards total trainees. I might also pull back that level number as well to make it a bit more evident that it should be level with level. And then I'm going to put some lines on and change some colours. So I'm selecting all the controls that I want to format the font colour. The headings I'm going to do in bold. I now need to put on those lines to break up the report. Don't forget to copy things. Let's just move that down and then I'll copy it. Speeds things up. It also means you've got a nice standard layout and things and format to your controls. I'm going to put these in the footer as well. Right, let's have a look at what we've got now. So, level count report, level 1, total trainees 3, module names, trainees, and then we'll list modules. And if we just come down, check we've got the total at the end. Just check this total, so that's 3, 8, 10. That's what it adds up to, so that's fine. So that's the final report completed. In the next video, I'm going to be looking at testing.